You'll never escape your past. People like you can't change. Your trauma is your own fault. Some people may think that this story starts at the end. But if there's one thing I've learned about endings, is that they're identical and synonymous to beginnings. So on the 16th of February 2022, I began to regain consciousness after a near-fatal crash. Initially, I didn't think much of it. In a peculiar sort of way, it felt like home. The anxiety, the stress, the adrenaline, it all sent me back to my teenage years, to a life I was still tempted by, to a version of myself that still had me imprisoned. I was free and yet lost. As I came around, the first thing that I did was undo my seatbelt. I landed on the driver's side door of my overturned car and instinctively checked for injuries. As I looked down, I noticed that my whole shirt and steering wheel were painted red. It didn't take me long to figure out that the artist of this painting was my hand, or something that resembled my hand. My fingers were all pointing in different directions, and on the back of it, a poorly shaken cocktail of tarmac, flesh, and bone. And if you look closer, like I did, and don't ask me why, a smaller, darker spot just above the wrist that spat out fresh and vivid blood with every heartbeat. If I wasn't nauseous a few seconds before, I for sure was now. I scrambled to find my phone, but after a few minutes, I realized it was nowhere to be seen. With my vision becoming foggier and foggier and my limbs becoming weaker, I decided to climb out of the passenger side window. As I got out of the car, I took my shirt off, wrapped my injury, and used my belt as a tourniquet. I looked around, and to make matters worse, I was in the middle of nowhere on a country road at 1 a.m. in the morning, not a single soul in sight. I figured I can't stay here, so I started walking in the same direction that I just drove from, hoping I'd see somebody. Funny enough, a few moments went by and I saw a car drive towards me. And I was on the side of the road and I waved and I screamed, "Stop!" And I screamed and I waved again, and it all fell in deaf ears. I mean, the driver barely even stopped. I was struggling to put one foot in front of the other at this point. And in an act of desperation, I decided to walk in the middle of the road towards oncoming traffic. You see, that meant that if a car came past me again, it either had to stop or kill me. After what felt like an eternity, I did see a pair of headlights come towards me, and I was like, damn, finally, this is over. Someone's going to stop. They're going to call an ambulance. I can go home and bury all of this behind me, because that's how I dealt with trauma. The car did indeed come to a stop. And as I stumbled towards it and tried to reach for it, it just kept on getting farther and farther away. It wasn't until he did a 3-point turn and drove off that I realized it had been reversing the whole time. Everything paused for me at that moment. I stood there in the middle of the road, tired, deflated, with nowhere to go, no hope to look for, as I saw the taillights of that car drive into the distance, and with it, my only hope, drawn and quartered. I shuffled my feet to a patch of overgrown grass at the side of the road and laid myself down. My mouth was dry, my eyes were heavy, and my whole body was clammy sweat, despite how cold it was. But my mind, my brain, it was quiet, it was peaceful, probably the most peaceful it had been for a while. What a life you've lived, Wilson. You've tried your best. Go with pride. I had those sentences over and over and over again in my head. But in between sentences, a whisper, a very faint whisper, that grew louder and louder the more I paid attention to it. He spoke to me, and he said, "You are forgiven. You are forgiven. You are forgiven." Thank you.